We can't see your face, Jackson. There we go. We need that beautiful smiley guy. And this is the best travel podcast in the universe, most likely. And not only that, it is the 97th best travel podcast in Canada. Miraculous. We're climbing the ledgers at a rapid pace. Jackson, do you have anything you want to say to Canada at all?
I want to say I've never visited your lovely land, but with the fact that we already have a very, I would say, rapidly progressing fan base stemming out of there, I need to go see my people. As
Yeah.
I would like to, or your people, I guess your people,
Yeah.
Fraser. But
Like
yeah,
Indians or Canadians? Both, maybe.
both. This
Yeah.
is their continent, so I just want to go say hi.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure by next week we'll probably be like 85th. I would almost say we're like the new kids on the block, or like what's that English group? But in Canada, like we're just huge.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
I mean, like many can. I don't think too many people in Canada are traveling right now. Maybe they are. I hear there's, they have a lot more strict travel restrictions from what I'm hearing. Not too positive on all that, but maybe you can verify that.
Yeah, I mean they're definitely locked
They're
down a little
leaning
bit
on
longer.
us. They're leaning on us to go to live vicariously through. So
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that's well said. Well said, Jackson. Today we're going to one of my favorite cities on earth, but also the worst story I've ever had to live through on earth. Mexico City. No joke, Jackson. They're one of few cities you feel. Like you don't see these, you feel them. New York City, prime example. Rio de Janeiro, another one. Rome, you don't see it, you just feel it. You're just wow. The North Shore of Kamloops, British Columbia, is one of those.
mhm.
And I don't think did I say Siem Reap in Cambodia. Mexico City is another one of those. It's the fifth largest city on earth, and I would say like I've told this to people like if you've never been to any of these cities I'm about to mention, if I just dropped you into Mexico City, you would think you're there. There's
Mhm.
so many neighborhoods that are just unreal. Like Palenco is kind of like Rodeo Drive. If you've never been to Rodeo Drive and I just dropped you off in Palenco, I kid you not, you'd think you were there. Or
Got
Bank, yeah, Central Park. They have the one of the biggest metro urban parks. It's either the biggest or the second biggest metro urban park. I think it's like two or three times the size of Central Park. But if I
yeah,
drop you there, you think you're there. If I dropped you in the downtown area, you'd think you're in Rome or like some ancient city. Um, or there's like you eat on the streets a lot, you would love it. There's all these little eateries that you're on the road with tables set up, so it's like you're in Italy. It's truly one of the most magical places I've ever been, aside from
yeah.
getting robbed.
Mexico City blows me away. I mean, the amount of records they do break. I mean, they are on the map.
What
They
kind of
have.
records?
Well, first of all, you said, Fraser, that you feel it when you go to
Yeah.
Mexico. You feel it. Well, I find that very interesting because Mexico City is actually dropping, uh, literally 40 centimeters every year. It is literally sinking. Mexico City,
Huh.
30 centimeters every year. Fun fact. So I didn't know if that was part of the reason you felt it, but it is literally dropping.
That's not the reason, but good to know.
Yeah, it's due to a phenomenon called subsidence.
Huh.
Subsidence,
Great.
I think.
Yeah. Because it's
Huh.
also pretty high above sea level in general, isn't it? Because I know the soccer field, one of the most famous soccer fields on earth, it might be the most famous. Um, it's like at a really high elevation. So they'll bring soccer teams to play there because it's kind of like going to Denver, you know how,
Hmm.
yeah, similar idea.
Interesting.
Um,
They
yeah.
also
And then
have, they also have the largest amount of museums in the world, 180.
I knew that. I know it was the most, but I knew that there's just like a billion museums. It's unreal
Yeah,
there.
in the world.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
The also when I flew in, I never went, but I had a layover, and I flew in one time to Mexico City, and it was like I've heard this from other people too when I talk about it, the most incredible place to ever fly into because it's just you start at the city and you probably fly for like another 30 minutes and you just the city is just enormous. It just keeps on going and going. And then the dichotomy between the poor and the rich, there's
Hmm.
so many skyscraper areas. So you'll go by skyscrapers, and then there'll be like tents on a hill, and then there'll be, more urban ghetto, and then there's a park, and then there's more skyscrapers, and there's another ghetto. It's like one of the most incredible places to ever see. But yeah, do you have any other facts before we get to the story about how I was robbed and
Well, yeah, the
whatnot?
fact that, I mean, like you said, it's very different. There's actually three types of architecture featured in the city, but it actually stands on ruins of the ancient Aztec culture. So that you get a lot of that, just that deep rooted culture, I guess, cultural feel around there. That
Yeah,
yeah, it dates back a long time.
yeah.
There's
Downtown, there's you can go into like some of the ruins, and like they have a lot of them. They're just kind of like an I don't know, a physical museum. That doesn't make sense, but like you actually, they've got
you
it
can
cordoned off, and you see stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can see ancient Aztec canals that are still,
Yes.
going and stuff like that. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then
Um. What
yeah,
else?
just the three types of architecture here. I'm also seeing they also have yeah, it's three different. I think it's the ancient Aztec culture.
Mm-hmm.
It's let's see here.
Are you just reading off Google?
I actually found. I'm trying to find it here.
Well, I feel like that's something
I
other people could do.
remember the three types, but
Okay.
like a local.
Well, Jackson looks. So I have a story about getting robbed by police in Mexico. They took or attempted to take thousands of dollars out of my bank accounts and credit card accounts. So if you want to hear the best things to do in Mexico City, fast forward 5 to 7 minutes. I'll shoot out the story for the people who haven't heard it. Be safe in Mexico City. Well, it's one
I
of the most,
recommend not fast forwarding. I highly recommend not fast forwarding for the record.
yeah. I've told the story enough where I don't tremble anymore when I tell it. So while it is the scariest thing that ever happened, the worst night of my life, still go to Mexico City. Be safe. Um, Stay around where all the public is, and yeah, it's safe. There's police on every corner, even though the police are the ones that robbed me. Um, but yeah, it's a safe spot. Just be where everyone is and stay. Don't go out in weird places at night. How I got robbed was a little bit of a, I don't know, a random occurrence, obviously. Although Mexico City is known for being one of the most dangerous cities on earth. But mine, like normally I'm pretty smart when I travel. This time I wasn't too smart, but it was out of random circumstance than anything. I was in there. I went to the Canada versus Mexico game, World Cup qualifying, and it was at Azteca, which is Azteca was the stadium, most famous soccer stadium on earth, one of them, whatever that is. And I was wearing my red Canada like jersey, and I went with a friend's friend and their friends to the game. Afterwards, they're like, "All right, what do you want to do?" And I was like, "Well, take me to a more locals bar, if you will, like something cool that not everyone knows, so I can add it to the website and like do that kind of thing." And versus just the stuff I know, I can just walk around to. So they took me to this area, and it was the coolest bar. I don't remember what it was called because I just turned into a blackout of mine,
Do you
of
know
my
what direct
memory.
was in just so people?
It was in the, I think it was in the Rosa area, which is like just on the outskirts of the Rosa area, which like the Rosa area is kind of a touristy-ish place, but not really. It's not like a main tourist place. It was outside of the main tourist place, anyways. So it was like multiple rooms. It was a cool kind of speakeasy vibe, and it was one of the cooler bars I've seen. And so it was around, I don't know, midnight, and I'm in my red Canada shirt, which I obviously would have changed, but we went right from the game to the bar, so I stuck out like a sore thumb. And I went outside to take a picture of the outside of it before I forgot to do that at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. when we left the bar or whatever that was. So I went outside to take a picture of the bar entrance, and I'm like kind of standing in the street, but it's more or less deserted. And a police officer just kind of says in Spanish, like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, like no problema, no problema." That's awful. However, I said, but I was like, "Sorry, I'm already." I said, "Excuse me," in whatever in Spanish, which I've lost all
I
concept
say
of.
Lo Siento, which means I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah,
yeah, maybe that's probably what I was saying. And so I went to like
I
walk
say
back in the bar, and he gets in front of me. He's like, "No, like come here," and he's like kind of has his hands on me. And at that point, you're like, it's such a weird thing because what do? Do you disobey the police officer and fucking run around him and go inside, and then you're in big trouble? Or do you hope that, it's nothing? He's asking you a couple questions and you leave. So, I mean, I was just, before you know it, I'm like across the street up against his car and he's like emptying my pockets. And he's speaking to me in Spanish. I was like, I don't understand, blah, blah, blah. And then he takes me to the other side of a thing and he's asking like for my PIN number on my phone. And I was like, no, I don't understand. And then two other police officers rolled up and they kind of have me and they're like, PIN number. One screams like, PIN number, puto, and like hit me in the face. And I was like, Jesus Christ, this is not good. And also me, the ever optimist, I'm thinking like, puto, you're not allowed to say that. That's, that's rude. Um, just trying to keep light of
That's
this
not the
time.
first time I've been called a puto. Be
You're not
real.
allowed to say that anymore in 2023. Apparently these police officers didn't know that. So then they're like, PIN number, Calbro, and they like punch me in the stomach. And I was like, Jesus. And when they hit me in the stomach, the two cops had my arm at this point. And they wanted the PIN numbers on my cards and of my phone. And they're holding my arms. And then when I kind of got hit in the stomach, they kind of like released a little bit because I slank. And then I like kind of filed that away. And then I tried to like get away a little bit, like 5 seconds later, and like they firm gripped. And then he's like, "What? I'm gonna ask you one more time." Like this new one spoke English. Like, we ask you one more time, or we're taking you away, and no one's ever gonna know where you are, and like whether that's jail or whatever the hell he meant. A lot of the friends who had in Mexico City think that they're just there's a lot of fake cops, so they don't even know if they're actual cops. So whatever, not to slander the Mexico City police officers. And then he goes again, like PIN number, and swears at me again and hits me, and I kind of slunk down, and I felt like their grips loosen, and I just threw them off and sprinted my ass off.
Like,
And I
give me the size. Give me the size of these guys.
Brad's like my size, like
Your size.
nothing. Yeah, I've lost 3 pounds. Can you tell? So I mean, they could have been my size
That's right.
yesterday, or
Where'd that chin go? That's what I was about to ask you.
yeah, yeah.
See
I
it.
was, I was wearing like this slutty little shirt. I thought I'd just show off my new fim trim figure.
Yeah, you're
Um,
showing
yeah,
something. Goodness.
yeah. So yeah, they
Yeah.
weren't big guys by any stretch of the imagination. And I mean, they had loosened their grip pretty significantly when I kind of got hit. So it's not like I like took them and beast mode threw them off. I just I was able to slink my hands off and get get their hands off me. So then I run, and I'm in these Air Force Ones that are like 5 pounds each, like the heaviest shoes I've ever owned. Which again, why I'm wearing really nice shoes, shouldn't do that either, idiot. Um, and
What
so
shoes
I'm
would you recommend for Mexico City?
really
Just
good walking shoes.
walking shoes.
Yeah, just like running
Sandals,
shoes,
flops.
sneakers, because you will walk a lot. Yeah, don't do flip flops. You want good walking shoes, because yeah, it's and so I'm running in these heavy ass shoes, and I ran the most I've ever run in my entire life, and I was a pretty adept runner, thank God. And so the worst thing about where I am is it's basically like metropolitan New York City, but like a ghetto version of it, where there's nowhere to go but streets and alleys. Like there's no schoolyard I can jump a fence. There's no houses or fences I can jump. Any houses there are,
You're
yeah,
zigging, zagging down.
yeah.
Yeah.
Any house there is like just has giant like gates with like spikes on top because it's obviously a crime and all that kind of stuff. So there's nowhere to go. So I run around, I turn the first corner, and then I turn the left corner again, and they weren't catching me, so they got in their cars. And I went down an alley, and then I went down another alley. I kept on just kind of zigzagging, and then I like saw one, and it like stopped at the end of the alley, and I pulled the old sprint as hard as I could one way, and then I went back the other way. Like they're falling for every trick in the book. Thank God I was like a
You
tag.
your blinkers on.
Yeah,
You're
yeah, exactly. Like I was a good player at tag in my day. I was probably the number one 97th travel podcast in Canada. I was the top 3 tag player in Canada in my day. So it all came back in this moment. Um, and then all of a sudden I kind of got cordoned off, and I'm exhausted this time, and I kind of started to slow down at them, and like they're in their car, and I was like kind of put my hands up, and then I did whoop, and it a little oop-de-oop, ripped around, gone again. Zip, zip, zip. So I'd run for, I don't know, an hour. Like, and I'm not talking a jog. Like, this is full on sprinting for your life an hour. Like, I'm terrified. I have no idea what they're going to do to me. It was honestly, while I'm making light of it now for entertainment effect, it was the worst time of my entire life times 10. So then I finally get away and it's pitch black. So now it's, let's call it 1 a.m., whatever it is, Mexico City, which is already the scariest place on earth. So I'm all alone. There's nothing, not one light's on anywhere.
Scary but beautiful. Scary
Yeah.
yet beautiful.
Well,
Yeah.
where I was wasn't too beautiful. I
not,
wasn't in the beautiful area.
not anymore.
Yeah, now I'm in some sort
You
of
went,
dungeon
you
of
went from
hell.
Rome to San Francisco pretty quick.
Yeah, exactly. The scariest parts of San Francisco. Maybe downtown LA, like that little
Downtown
strip.
bro.
Sorry, I keep coughing. So
Make you feel better.
yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I would have been scared if I wasn't in this predicament, and I have no idea where I am because I don't have a phone. Mexico City is the fifth biggest city in the world, as we learned already on this podcast. Zero clue where I am. So I'm just walking aimlessly through the streets of Mexico City, no lights on, dark as hell, no, like, just terrified. Finally, there's a light, and it was like either a walk-in clinic or like a veterinary hospital. I don't know what it was, but there was a light and a door, and kind of a glass windowy door, and there's a woman there. And I'd been walking for like, say, 30 minutes since I finally felt I evaded the police, and I hadn't seen them again. And I knock on it. I'm like, help, like, help, help, help. Can you help me? Whatever I'm trying to say in Spanglish to try and like get her. She like waves me away, and I'm like, no, you're not understanding the
Yo
dire
necesito.
needs. Yeah, like the dire needs, which I couldn't convey in Spanish. Like, hey, feel like I could die at any moment. Can you help me? Whatever that is in Google Translate. I don't. If I had my phone, I could have done it.
Mm.
And she waves me around, and I'm like, all right, well, why don't I just sit down, because there's finally some light, and I just collect my thoughts. Where do I go from here? What do I do? I'm also like, my legs are toast. I'm so tired. And I felt like I ran like a marathon. No joke. I've never been like so weak in my heavy shoes, all this. And a haunting sound I'll ever have is a screech of tires. This woman called the police. And I have no idea if these are the same police again.
Yeah.
So I just hear this like as they pull up and screech. And I'm like, fuck. I get up, I sprint around the corner, and I go back that way. And just as I went around this car to kind of hide, they had just come around and like clipped me maybe with their lights and like saw that I was hiding. So then they came back this way and they stopped where I was on the side of the car. So then I walked by the other way. Another thing that was my saving grace was they were like the tiniest streets. So it was kind of like one way and there's cars everywhere. So you couldn't like, you'd have to Austin Powers to turn around. So thank God they didn't get out and try and run or whatever. And then I turned the corner and I was back on the same street, and the most depressed I've ever felt and the most scared I've ever felt, it was just like two football fields of streets, like this A street. So there was no alley, there was nowhere for me to go. So like me just running aimlessly down that street, they're going to get me in their car no matter what. And my legs, I couldn't move. They're just cement. So I was like, all right. And I just went under this tiny ass little car and I just hid. And I was like, this is where they get me, because no one's falling for hiding under a car. This isn't a movie. And it was like, it rained earlier that day, and I'm just like in this freezing cold mud in like a t-shirt, and I was miserable, and I'm just sitting under there. And the scariest thing all going through my head was like, in scary movies where a kid or someone's hiding under the bed, and then all you see is like their legs get grabbed and they disappear into the darkness and they scream, and you have like the frontal camera view. I was just waiting for that to happen. Like, I was like, all right, they're just going to grab my legs and I'm dead. Like, I literally thought I was going to die or be in some weird, crazy Mexico City jail. I was under there for as long as I could, because the last thing I also didn't want to do was like come out after 15, 20 minutes when the coast was clear and they're just waiting for me. So I was laid under there for as long as I physically could. And I was like shivering. It was so fucking cold. And after I couldn't bear it anymore, like my body was numb, my hands were numb. Like, it was just, so I got out, I looked around, and like nobody. So thank God. And now again, we're still back to square one. I'm still lost in the biggest city on earth with no idea where I am, no lights on. So then I just kind of walked and just hope to see an open store or somewhere I could call or a cab or something. And then this nice woman who I wish I got her info, she's around my age or younger. I was like, hey, like, do you speak English? She did. And I was like, I'm like lost. I almost got abducted. Can you help me a little bit? She's like, where are you staying? And I told her where. So I was like 30 minutes from my hotel. She drove me the whole way there. Bless her heart. Yeah, like the nicest. And she was like, I can take you to the consulate. I was like, well, I have my passport. Yeah. Sorry to cough. And then, another tip, I never carry my passport anywhere with me. So, I mean, I always have it tucked away. And same, I always have like a backup ID and credit card in my luggage in my hotel or in the safe in my hotel. So
Good
thank
tip.
goodness I had that.
Good
They take
tip.
me back to the hotel, and it was just like I made it. And then I had my computer back home, and I just saw like all my credit cards. They were trying to take money out of like $1,000 out of each. Obviously, it got denied. Thankfully,
With the management, or
the management at the hotel.
yeah, you think that was them, or you think it was house cleaning, or
Oh no, I'm saying like the cards that were in my wallet.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
the ones that were robbed, not the hotel. Yeah,
Okay.
no. So like they tried to take everything out, but they couldn't obviously. So all they really got was I don't know $100 in cash, my phone, which sucked, and my wallet, but the cards are replaceable, and a part of my soul. I guess they caught that for some time. But then yeah,
Get over this. I know you were
yeah,
pretty
it's.
by it for a few
I literally
weeks.
thought I was gonna die. I mean, it was
Yeah.
scary.
I
Um,
feel it.
but so if those of you listen, there's more to the story.
Off
But
of scraps.
yeah,
Yeah, you were bleeding.
yeah, bleeding everywhere. It was rough. And then every like police car sound or whatever that went by, or like a car backfiring, I was just scared. Like I'd put my chairs in front of the door just in case like they came. I don't know. Like I was nervous as hell. The management at the hotel was incredible. Best place to stay. A cute little boutique hotel called the Maria Condesa in La Condesa area. It's affordable. It's great. The management took care of me. They're like
They
checking in.
stuff. They won't go through your stuff or
No,
anything.
they won't at all.
Yeah, good people there.
The woman,
That's why
she like,
I was so surprised when Fraser was going off. I was so confused because I've heard nothing but amazing things about that.
yeah, and so yeah, she like took care of me. She asked if she could bring me food. Like I was just shaking. It was bad. So,
They give you a
anyways,
blank.
I had blankets in my hotel room. And
Okay,
yeah, the police didn't steal that.
yeah, that's some
And
cool
also
stuff.
them like trying to steal stuff also didn't like that made me happy because I was like, okay, good. Like they're not going to try and find me again because I can be like, oh, they tried to take thousands of dollars out of my account. Anyways, that was longer than the 7 minutes. We'll have to put that in at 23 minutes of the story, but we can get back to Mexico City of why you should visit after that story.
Yeah, and the three types of architecture are colonial, Aztec, and contemporary. Figured that one out
Great.
uh, while you were rambling on about your trauma.
Yeah.
Figured
Oh,
that out.
that's great. So I'm gonna scroll through, and I should send you this so you can visualize it, Jackson, while we're here. Uh, all the beautiful things to see in Mexico City. There's a Venice. Like there's a. It's not anything like Venice, but they have their version of Venice,
Oh, like
where
Venice Beach, and
Venice, Italy. So you actually can go on a boat and just get like down these canals. That's so crazy. There's really just random canals in this one area of uh, of Mexico City. So check that out. It's so unique and cool to do. I'll try to remember the name of it once I scroll through here. I don't know what's wrong with my throat. Sorry, everyone.
well, I just want to talk to you about the food you ate while you were there.
Oh my! We'll get to the food at the end, but I'll nail through the yeah. I'll give you the best places to eat.
No, I get so excited.
I know. We'll give you the best places to eat in minute 35, or we'll say, but now we'll knock out the things to see. So the Zocalo is the historic center, which is downtown, and it's like a UNESCO heritage site. And that's where you were kind of mentioning they had the ruins and all that kind of stuff. They
Mm-hmm.
have some incredibly cool views, like the Sears Tower. You can look over the Palacio de Bellas Artes. which is one of those aforementioned museums, which is really cool. There's Cafe de Tacuba, which is over a century old, and it's just kind of like you're in a churchish setting, and it's all this authentic food. There's a terraza to overlook like the entire downtown. There's street, what do you call it? Like street fairs and
The street little
yeah,
carnival stuff.
cathedrals. The National Palace is down there. The House of Tiles, um, the
House
Monument to the
Tiles.
Revolution. Yeah,
House. What is that? A tiling store or what's going on in
I
there?
think so. Yeah, it's like
Oh,
the first ever tiling store.
oh, well.
Yeah, I don't know, but no, I think it's just like what is it? Just a big museum. I think there's a gold museum. There's this really cool post office that's all gold, and it's like the coolest post office on earth.
Mm,
Yeah. The Koyakan, which I think I'm probably pronouncing wrong, but Coyoacan. See this all on the website inspiretravelite.com. There's a full list of all this stuff for you. It's like you're back in time. There's churches, cobblestone streets. There's the Frida Kahlo Museum. Are you
big
familiar?
fan of hers. Oh,
Mm.
if the listeners in Canada don't know, I'm big fan of art. Big fan
Yeah.
of art. Love it. Love
And
it.
the former home of Leon Trotsky was there.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh,
Lots of colonial architecture.
big
And then
fan.
there's a market called the Mercado number 89.
Actually, that's some.
And that's where it's like one of those, those Mexico street markets, but it's inside where you can buy everything from a cow's head to a designer shirt that's knocked off to a rocking chair to
We
some
got.
amazing food. Yeah.
Well, I love that. They actually have that kind of same feel out here in Texas at the La Fiesta Marts. I love it because I can eat and grocery shop at the same time.
Yeah.
The La Fiesta. I go there once every 2 days. I,
Yeah.
just to
That's
just to walk around.
that's
So
Mercado 89.
and I can get my watch fixed while
Yeah.
getting a bunch of other things
You get
done.
everything, your shoes shined.
It's,
Um,
it's great.
so the Venice, check out Xochimilco. Can you see the article I sent you or even Google or just Xochimilco is just the EXO. Well, you can check it out later, but it's really cool.
Oh,
It's
coming in hot right now.
yeah. Scroll on down and catch up to the article. So Xochimilco is like the Venice, Italy, where you just get on boats and they do the gondolas. It's incredible. So you gotta do that. Eating, I talked about. I'll get back around to that. What is cool about Mexico City is it's such a melting pot that not only is there some of the best Mexican food you'll ever have, obviously, but there's also like unreal Italian food, Greek food, the seafood. There's this one seafood restaurant. I'll find it and I'll send it. We'll talk about it when we get to the food part. Incredible. Mexico City is also known for their street tacos, obviously, and just tacos al pastor.
Oh my goodness! Do they have it stacked on and just shaving the meat right off? Right
Yeah, and they
oh,
catch it,
eat
and
it.
then they chop the pineapple off the top, and like they flip it and they catch that as well.
I do the same thing. I'm like a trained seal down there.
Yeah,
I asked for the whole pineapple actually, and they just throw it
yeah,
at me.
it's incredible.
Big fan.
Yeah,
They also
Palenco.
okay. I mean, goodness, I had the best ceviche of my life in Mexico City.
Mm, Palenco is the upscale neighborhood that's kind of like the Rodeo Drive of LA, where it's just nonstop designer stores, really nice restaurants. Like you would never think you're in Mexico City when you're in this place. It's one of the richest, nicest looking places I've ever been. It's so cool.
Is that
Uh,
more suburbs, or how do the people actually live around there? Do they live in apartments? Do they live in? It's
it
a
just
what?
depends. That's what's so crazy about it. You can go like, imagine just 20 different neighborhoods all next to each other, and like one is skyscrapers, one's a old kind of culturally place, the other's like a ghetto.
Lot of mixed use.
Yeah, so Palenco is like apartments, nice houses, beautiful condos. It's crazy, just all next to each other. The changes. Then there's the Bosque de Chapultepec, which is one of the largest parks in the Western Hemisphere, and the oldest one of the oldest urban parks in the world, and it's double the size of New York's Central Park. So It's a park. The park's so big, it has a castle, an amusement park, a zoo, the Museum of Anthropology, the Modern Art Museum, the National Auditorium, and there once was a military school
Cool.
there. They also have pyramids, Jackson, full on giant pyramids. Teotihuacan, Teotihuacan.
Look, it's oh my gosh, there's a lot of controversy behind it, and
Hmm,
there's a lot of unknown. Just there's a lot to be uncovered still about those pyramids. So
hmm,
it's fantastic. Know about there's a lot of interesting little facts pertaining to this actual design and structure of those places. It's they're not exactly sure how they were able to develop these temples due to the fact that they were so advanced architecturally, just the preciseness of how they were built and what directions they were facing, and you could the water, the canals that run through it, you could turn them on and off just by the touch of a finger. I'm not kidding. Please give it a Google out there, can't people? It's
yeah.
fantastic. It's to learn about. You can spend about 8 to 10 hours down a good sized rabbit hole just researching the temples around Mexico
Wow.
City.
That's great to know. Also,
They
the
also,
libraries there.
they also line up.
Hmm,
I'm pretty sure with the pyramids
yeah,
in Egypt, which are
yeah,
pretty thick.
quite. The libraries in Mexico City, it's almost like Hogwarts, like just giant, massive things. Like it's such a cool, and they have coffee shops in there. So even if you're not a big book reader, just go in there, grab a coffee, check it out. Um, it's really cool. All the big ones. There's a Biblioteca Vasconcelos
I
and
love a good library.
the Cafeteria El Ponjulo. Um,
Oh,
so yeah, and then La Condesa, you take a stroll, just taking in the architecture is incredible. From Zocalo, which is the historic side, to Planco and Coyoacan, it's just incredible. There's also a long strip called the Paseo de la Reforma, which you can rent a bike or scooter and just go down for miles and miles. And there's like fountains, and you go past all the historic Zocalo and skyscrapers.
are they like city bikes and stuff?
Yeah,
So okay, that's
it
nice.
like if you were there, you'd think you're in New York. It's just crazy.
Pretty modern.
Yeah. Yeah, just the juxtaposition between how modern it is and then the poverty is it's it's just beautiful in itself, like in a weird way. It's just crazy to see the differences. Some of the coolest bars ever are in Mexico City. Just tons of, whether you're looking for a salsa night, a speakeasy, a tequila tour, a full on nightclub. There's so much incredible stuff. But yeah, and where to stay is, I love La Condesa. It's a tourist area, but it's also a cultural area. So you're safe, but you just feel like you're in history. Polanco, if you're rich and snobby, stay there at like a Ritz Carlton. That's fine. But I think if you want the true experience, La Condesa is nice. I don't know if I'd say down in Zocalo because I don't know about walking around at night down there. It's safe, but just there's more stuff to do, like little bars and restaurants, I feel like, and more urban-y ish in La Condesa. But yeah, places to eat. I talked about. Oh, I can't hear you. Are you on mute? I think you're on mute, Jackson.
Where's all that
There you go.
liquor at? Where that you were drinking? It's just the shelf that you have. The
Yeah,
shelf is booze. It looks like a lot of tequila.
yeah. Great spot for tequila.
Yeah, oh, beautiful.
Yeah. Um,
I love that drink, the Korea.
the Carajillo. Yeah.
That's so delicious.
So yeah,
But I
there's.
don't know where you went. What was your favorite bar in that area that you went to?
I can't remember all the bars, but there was
Can you just not pronounce them, Fraser?
that too. I can't. That's probably the more it. The street food, incredible. There's this place that is like the most famous place. It's a little pop up off the side of a road, but they sell they sell chilaquiles. They're not only the best in the city, but probably the world, and they sell out of them by like 10 a.m. There's a lineup around the block, so it's crazy. Trying to find this one. Oh, the Contramar, best seafood I ever had. It is wow. Um,
Are they also acquiring it, or are they straight lining it in, or is it
I
do
don't
they?
know. I didn't ask about that. Do you have a door open? I hear like airplanes or someone mowing the lawn.
I actually do. My landscaper is doing a fantastic. My landscaper is doing a fantastic job
Yeah.
out there. I did
All right.
not know he was coming today,
All
but
good.
it is a beautiful day for gardening. I will not lie.
Yeah.
I
Sounds like
will
a
not.
plane. You're in like an airport. Well, anyways, you can go to the
I've been
website.
you on.
No, you're good. It's not. We're almost done here, anyways. No, I can't hear you. um, but yeah, so the restaurant. I've got a whole list of 12 amazing places to eat in Mexico City. So check that out. InspireTravelEat.com. This whole list of stuff to do. The best place to stay. The little boutique hotel that took care of me.
Is
Jackson, you got
there?
anything to add?
I was going to ask, do you have any names to refer them to when they go down there? Do you any of these people that you could refer, or like a travel agency or anything like that that you would
No,
recommend?
no, just go on down to
Or
Maria Condesa. They'll take care of you. Tell them
was
Inspire Travel Eat, the guy who got robbed, sent you.
okay. The concierge is nice.
Yeah, great
Very
concierge.
helpful.
They also set you up with like a driver. You can Uber everywhere there. So, I mean, that's also nice because you can see obviously people's ratings. It tracks where you're going versus hopping in a random taxi. So, I like that.
Do they have
Uh,
nice pools there? That's
yeah,
another thing for me.
yeah,
I love a good pool.
yeah. Definitely
Swim
good
ball.
pools. And I would rent a bike. Actually, the Condesa has free bikes. So, you can just take a bike and rip around the entire area. So safe, beautiful.
I was going to ask you about scootering, like a Vespa. People Vespa around there.
I wouldn't if you were visiting because driving there is
I didn't know
actually
if
it's not too bad.
things cross over, or
Oh yeah, I'm sure you could, but yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sure they don't.
I've never rented a car in Mexico or any type of
Also, there's
vehicle.
so many like one ways and like weird little things that it probably wouldn't be a good idea. Like I drive pretty much everywhere. Like I'll rent a car. I rented a car in Asia. I rented a car in Peru, Costa Rica. I probably wouldn't do it in Mexico City just because it's pretty chaotic. And watch you turn one way down or one way you didn't know was one way and you get hit and die. You don't want
That's
that.
yeah, don't want that.
But yeah, riding bikes is fine. Lots of bike lanes. Great. Yeah. Any other questions, or should we wrap this bad boy up?
Oh, just the people of Mexico City, very helpful, like with directions and everything like that. And is
Yeah.
English very predominant there? Can you get around?
Yeah. Yeah. English is very. Everyone knows English, so it's pretty easy. You don't need to know Spanish to kind of
I,
go.
the one time I did go through, I was there for a very short time because we were traveling through Mexico City, but it seemed very helpful, and English was, very
Yeah.
everyone knew.
Yeah. Exactly. Absolutely. Well, Jackson, it's been a pleasure having you. By the time we do the next one, we'll probably be, I don't know, 54th top travel podcast in Canada. So
I think so. We're shooting for the stars.
yeah, I wonder what other countries we can take over. This is
I
exciting.
don't know Taiwan. Everyone's going after Taiwan these days. So
Imagine if we were like top 12 in Taiwan.
mhm.
That'd be sick.
We need to start shouting them out.
Yeah, shout out Taiwan,
Shout out Taiwan. Shout out
Uzbek,
SMRs.
Uzbekistan. It'd be
Yeah,
cool to be
Uzbek.
in Uzbekistan.
Hey, Ukraine, love, support Ukraine. All
Yeah,
that.
my grandma's Ukrainian, so love
Yeah,
them. Yeah.
always send shouts.
All right. Well, pleasure, Jackson. InspireTravelLead.com. This is the best travel podcast ever. Talk to you guys later.
Talk to you later. Love you.
Love you.